Are you looking for simplified ways to grow your business? Do you struggle with knowing where to focus your energy for the best return? Or are you loving your business success and looking for ways to stay ahead of the pack through innovation and inspiration? If you've answered yes, keep listening. Hi, I'm Amita from Holistic Vision and the podcast host of Simple Marketing Solutions. As a business owner for the past 15 years, I understand that we wear multiple hats. Often it can feel like they're all at the same time. Occasionally this can lead to feelings of overwhelm and stress, of being reactive instead of proactive. However, when you're equipped with the right business strategies, marketing insights, and mindset tips, it can lead to a sense of true accomplishment, giving you the confidence to continue to grow your skills. Plus, there's real power in the fact that you're creating a lifestyle that you love whilst going out there and helping others. If you're ready for a successful 2023, it starts now. Take action, my friend, and download the free annual planning template for business success today at holisticvision.com.au/annual plan. Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Simple Marketing Solutions. Today, I get to interview an amazing woman. Her name is Shannon McKinstry. She's the founder of Boutique Social and co-founder of the Social Squad Society. Shannon is a social media marketer who helps small businesses make a big impact and grow through organic, proven strategies. Hello, Shannon. So great to have you here today. I'm so excited to hear all about Instagram and what we can do to get out there and be more present. Shannon, I thought just so our audience can get to know you a bit more, what drew you to being a social media marketer?
Yeah, so I actually do have a background in marketing and communications, but back then I graduated college in 2004. So back then social media wasn't really a thing. Facebook was just on the scene and MySpace, and I loved it for fun and personal reasons. And I was working at what I thought was my dream job at CNN at the time, and I quickly discovered it really wasn't what I wanted out of life. And I, started trying to pivot and applying to marketing roles at CNN, and it just wasn't working. So I moved back home to DC and bounced around marketing position to marketing position and just wasn't really happy. And just kind of missed that creative outlet. I've always loved creating video, writing. That's always been my kind of thing. So then when social media started all of a sudden going from personal to business, I was like, wait a minute, could this be a thing? And actually the business I was at the time, I was like, hey, do you mind if I manage the Facebook platforms? And they were like, sure. I mean, they're not going to pay me more for it, but they were like, that's fine. And I just fell in love with it. I finally had this outlet again, to create and kind of the freedom to do so. And then that's what got me into it. And I think, obviously everything I learned in my marketing background helped. But yeah, and then I had my daughter and decided to start my own business so I could be home with her and just keep doing all the skills that I had learned and help help the smaller fish stand out on online.
Yeah. And I think that's, a big thing in today's world where there seems to be this drive that the perception is that you need to spend so much money on social media as a business owner to make it work for you. Do you feel that there are strategies there, especially say with Instagram, where it doesn't have to be about spending big dollars on advertising, but you can actually do more through organic?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And actually that's all I teach is organic. And I've never ran ads. I know I experimented with them. I mean, we're talking like 6-7 years ago. So it doesn't even count. Ads were very different back then, but I'm all about organic growth. Of course, some products well, and service-based people might find, but I find just, showing up authentically, taking people behind the scenes does so much more than an ad ever could. And there's so many ads out right now, especially, and you're fighting all these ads, and it's a big investment. So before you even, think about going into ads, I would make sure what you're doing organically works first, and then maybe go into ads.
Yeah.
But yeah, all I do is organic. All I teach is organic. And there's still, I know people think it's so crowded, but there's a lot of bad content out there. And there's a lot of people doing it, like you said, the burnout method, which is just post to post to post, just for no reason, just posting. And it's not working. People have been taught a lot of bad strategies. So you can still shine big time.
Yeah. And talking about strategies, I know that you teach this, but is there an actual Instagram strategy or social media strategy that can help business owners to reduce that feeling of overwhelm and, even not doing anything because it just feels too much?
Yeah, I know a lot of people that have like thrown in the towel. They're just exhausted. And I'm like, no, please, take my word for it. You don't have to post all the time. What I typically do to help people kind of just, the easiest way to create a strategy is think about the different buyer personas out there. What is it that your people are struggling with? And really honing in on like maybe just 3 or 4 content pillars. And if you can do one of those a week, that's what I do. That's what I teach my clients. So the big content pillars for me and categories, if you will, are educate, empathize, and entertain. And if you can do one of those a week, you're doing more than most. And even the people that are posting every day, they might not be hitting those emotions. They might not be hitting the tip that people need. They might not be hitting the relatable, entertaining piece. They're not thinking about what they're posting enough. So as long as you can hit those 3, and it all comes down to knowing what your person's really struggling with. And I think that's what a lot of people don't, forget. They're just hearing, do this, do that, share this tip. And it's like, well, we're seeing all the same stuff all the time. Like, what does your person need to hear? A lot of that comes from just interviewing a couple past clients and asking, how'd you feel before working with me? How did I help you feel after? You'll be shocked at what things that why they invested in you. You'll be shocked by things that you did for them that you didn't realize. And take all that copy, all those words, and put it into your content and create content around that. And that's what I've always done. And that's what I think has helped me. It's helped my clients, because I see a lot of people in my industry saying the same stuff over and over again. I'm like, that's not what people are worried about. You really got to get to know your audience. And then the content literally just flows out of you.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that in terms of having those interviews with clients or past clients or people. If you're new in business, then even just reaching out to some people that you feel are in that audience that you want to be targeting as well. I know that I do that often with my business. I keep going back and doing those interviews time and time again, because there's always such a wealth of information from those clients. And you're right, those words is what makes it relatable to them. That's going to stop them and hopefully get them to take action with your posts and your social media content as well.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they'll say something to you that you're like, oh, that's what I did. Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
And then if you say that in your sales copy and say it on stories, create a reel around it, I'm like, that'll speak to them more than what you think people want to hear.
Exactly. Yes. Because I think we sometimes get too much in our own heads, and we try and overthink it, but using just those exact words that people are reflecting back to you, it works. Yeah.
It does. It really does.
So I like that, it can be that simple. So that's fantastic. And I know that you're on top of everything that's Instagram. What do you find is trending right now with Instagram?
I think the biggest thing right now is relatability. It's almost like we went full circle. We went from just sharing our coffee and our kids and our pets and things we were doing on the weekend, trips we're taking. And then it went to educate.
Yeah.
And we got really bored really fast. And now it's kind of like we're going back. Like, let's share our weekend. Let's share our stories.
Mm,
it's always been a storytelling app, but I think
mm,
they missed that. People started missing the mark. They stopped telling stories. And I was like,
mm.
this is a snooze fest. And people were getting bored. And that's why people started hopping to TikTok, because that's what everyone's doing over there, is just telling stories.
Yes.
And so that is really good. I think that's coming back. And relatable doesn't mean you have to be hilarious. It doesn't mean you have to do the funny voiceovers. I mean, just empathizing is a way to relate with your people too. But yeah, I think just making sure people feel seen and that people feel validated, whether that's in a funny way or empathetic way, or a story of your client, your personal story. Um, that's what's killing it on Instagram right now. And it's going to continue to, because I think at the end of the day, we open these apps because we're bored. We want to feel connected. And if someone
Mm.
validates your feelings or makes you feel a certain way, you're going to follow them.
Yeah, that's very true. I know that I've done that for myself
Yep.
when I open the app. And it's interesting how, it does connect. That one post that you read or view can really just connect with you where you are in that moment.
Yes.
And you're right. Those are the ones you tend to follow
Mm-hmm.
because it feels right for you.
Exactly.
And Shannon, with regards to social media and Instagram, are there any tips that you can share with our audience that will help them to instantly improve their Instagram?
I honestly think the biggest thing, because every time I do an audit or any sort of consulting, the number one thing, it comes down to the hook and the call to action and their captions.
Yeah.
It's every time. I'm like, that's the only missing piece, is the hook isn't strong
Mhm.
to get them to stop. And the call to action, there's either no call to action or it's too complicated.
Okay.
Um, I think back in the day, and again, it depends on your audience, right?
Mm,
If your
mm,
audience are also storytellers, like you'll be fine going, what's your goal for 2023? And tell me all about it. But most of us just want to leave a quick thumbs up, or we want to just say, thank you for this, or some of us will go into depth depending on what hits us in the feels. But many of us we're scrolling so fast, we're juggling five things as we're scrolling. So we've got to stop people, and we're following more people than ever.
mm,
There's more features than ever. So if you want to stand out, what I'm telling everyone is, I was like, you've got to learn how to write really good hooks. You
mm,
have to encourage people to act on your posts, and you have to be bold. And by bold, I mean sharing really bold opinions and thoughts. And you've we've seen the same content for years, over and over again, the same quotes,
mm,
what's your take on something? What is a thought or opinion you have? What's an underrated skill you think you have that others don't, right? Like really,
mm.
if it takes journaling, if it takes just scrolling other platforms for inspiration, really dig deep into what you believe, what are your core values, things like that. So it's a mix
Mm,
of three things: really strong hooks. And one thing I've been telling a lot of my clients is, we're going to like, let's say someone's a virtual assistant, right? And they're like, 3 ways to create better systems. Well, at the end of the day, you're going to create the systems for them. They don't want to do it, right? We're not going to do it. Instead, say 3 mistakes you're making with your systems. That's going to get us to stop, because we're going to be like, oh, shoot, I want to make sure I'm not making this mistake. We don't have time to do the things. So point out, things like that. So as service providers, especially, I mean, point out the mistakes they're making, things to avoid that they've probably been told, opinions, that's going to get us to stop the scroll. And
mm,
again, with a call to action, just keep it super simple. Something like, save this, share this with a friend. I think a few years ago, we found it kind of cheesy for someone to say, drop a heart below. But now it's like, we're like, thank you, because that's all I have time for.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And if we
exactly.
don't tell them what to do, we're going to keep scrolling. And sometimes your
Mm,
hook, your entire caption could just be who can relate, right? Or
yeah.
anyone else
Yeah.
do this? Like, it can be short and sweet, but invite them in, start a conversation, make them stop the scroll. You got to get really good at stopping the scroll. And
Mm,
like I said, being bold and just not sharing all the things that people can find on Google, not sharing thoughts and opinions of everyone else's, is
yeah.
those are the big 3 things I think that are going to help people really grow this year.
Yeah, fantastic. No, and it all sounds like it just really comes back to being really relatable and coming, to show people who you really are.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
like you said, those values, what are your values? And if you haven't identified that, then, taking the time out to figure
Yes.
that out as well,
Yep.
because that really drives the direction of your business and where you're headed with your clients and who you want to work with as well. So lots of clarity around that, which is fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Hooks are so important.
Yeah.
I know that I can definitely work more on that. But yes, work in progress.
Yes. And honestly, as you scroll, if something catches your attention,
Mm,
take a minute to really observe why. A
mm.
lot of it is just
Good point.
observation. I tell people, I know
Yeah.
we all have our plates full, but if you just notice how you use the app, what
Mm,
got you to stop, what got you to hit follow, and just, you know, flip it in your own way.
mm.
Um, maybe it was a certain word that caught your eye, right? Maybe
Yeah.
it was you noticed something in the reel. Maybe it was because someone came in from the side and that got your attention. There's a lot of, now, of course, these are tactics, not,
Yeah. Yeah.
strategies.
Yeah.
But there are little tactics that you'll see that you're like, oh, wow, that worked. And then maybe it will stop working because Instagram's always changing. But
That's
whatever
true.
it is, it's getting your attention. And if you tap on an audio because you want to use a trending audio, look at with the reels under that audio that got the most views,
Exactly.
but then go and make sure that those views translated to likes and comments and
Mm,
see which ones did and come up with ideas from that. That's how I come up with a lot of reels ideas for my clients because I'm like, well, let's see what other people are doing that's working.
mm,
We're not
mm,
copying their captions, we're not copying their copy, but
mm.
just the format, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. Having that structure that you can then
Yes.
follow for your own. Yeah. That's
Mhm.
great because it's a template that you can then follow, but like you said, you're not copying it. So
Right.
that does make it your own,
Mhm.
and still allows you to then be relatable to your audience as well through that, which is
Yes,
ultimately the most important thing.
absolutely.
Um, Shannon, any last words of wisdom that you would love to leave our audience with?
Probably that it doesn't have to be complicated. Um, it is work though. I think we get,
Mm,
confused, like, oh, it's so hard. I'm like, well, so is working out. So is
yeah,
um cooking dinner. Like,
exactly. Eating
it's all
well.
hard, but we got to do it.
Yeah.
We have no choice. We're business owners. You got to be on social media. I'm sorry. Or you can spend money and pay someone else to do it. But like you said, make sure you've really done the back end work. And I think that's when people get frustrated because I'm like, the reason they are struggling is because they don't know what people need to hear.
Exactly.
Once you know what your person needs to hear, I mean,
Yeah.
buckle up.
Yeah.
That's, buckle up and
Yeah.
do that background work, understand your people, do interviews like you meant, really get to know your people, understand how their problems make them feel, understand how you make them feel when you solve their problem, and just create content around that. But it should be fun at the end of the day. It is work though, right?
Yeah.
Like I mentioning cooking, like cooking to me is a chore, but to a chef, it's fun, right? Like it's
Yeah.
but if it is a chore to you, you can always outsource. But I always encourage people to do it themselves and figure out a strategy that
Mm,
is sustainable.
mm.
Um, and again, like I said, while tactics and trends, they're fun, it's really timeless marketing strategies. And I think we get lost in all the trends and the tactics. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's just marketing 101. That's it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. So it's not easy per se, because it is work, but it's not complicated, what I like to tell people.
Yeah. Fantastic. And that is true. I think that everybody's looking for quick and easy solutions and thinks that that's going to translate into dollars and conversions, but you have to put the work in the same
Yeah.
as you put the work into the service that you offer with your clients. And like you said, the cooking, which I totally
Yes.
get.
But no, like you said, there's no magic pill. And I hate to
No,
say it, there's no magic pill.
there is.
But when you look at the people crushing it and growing, the one thing everyone has in common is they're just showing up, telling
Yeah.
stories, and they're making you feel like you're part of their community and you're their friend.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
It's almost like you're in on this little like sorority in a way. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a better
Yeah.
analogy, but when you're in someone's community, you're part of this little thing that only you're in on the jokes that they have. Only you're in on the tips they have. You're in this
Exactly.
exclusive VIP community. And when you
Yeah.
make them feel that way, again, buckle up. That's it. It's that simple, but it's also work. And but once you've done the back end work, the rest of it's so much easier.
And that's it. Yes. Again, we keep coming back to that back end work. You have to spend the time to do that. And once you've done that, then everything else feels a lot easier in terms of the flow and the process. But start with that back end stuff. Get that strategy in place. Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent. Shannon, where can people find out more about you if they're wanting to follow you, get in touch with you? Where's the best place for them?
Yeah, probably Instagram. That's where I spend most of my time. It's just my handle is just first last name, Shannon McKinstry. I also love LinkedIn. I'm active on TikTok as well and Twitter. So if you search Shannon McKinstry, you'll find me. And then my website, same, shannonmckinstry.com.
Perfect. I'll put all of those links into the show notes as well for everybody. And I just wanted to say a really big thank you, Shannon, for being so open and honest about the journey that it is to be on social media these days as a business owner, and for giving some really useful tips and strategies that can really help us to become more relatable and increase those conversions with our audience. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. This was a pleasure.
Thank you for listening today. Like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. I hope you find value from today's episode. And remember, if you've got friends and colleagues looking for inspiration as they grow their business, share this podcast with them. Follow me on Instagram at Holistic Vision Consultancy, or check out my website, holisticvision.com.au. Until next week, to your success, my friend.